Welcome to The Topic, where we highlight Houston Community College, our students, our programs, and our reach into the community. I'm Todd Duplantis. If you're watching us on YouTube, social media, or our website, you can download all of our audio podcasts on Apple Podcasts or hccs.edu/podcasts. We've got a great show lined up for you today. We're going to learn more about those location services on your telephone. What are those all about? Somebody has to program those. We've got someone here from the GIS program, Michael Boucher. Thanks for being here on The Topic with me.
Thanks for having me, Todd.
Now, location services, I guess, are just one thing that folks in the GIS program would learn. But tell me about the jobs that are available, because I guess this is an industry that's really blowing up right now, right?
Oh, it's catching on, and to say the least. The industry itself is not like computer programming or construction. You're building things, you're doing this number. GIS has transcended different industries. The one real big one here in Houston is the oil and gas industries,
right,
where they use GIS to locate pipes, maintain pipe maintenance records, and the overall health of the pipe. And during the Super Bowl, Verizon came in and hired a bunch of GIS people to do line of sight analysis to increase cell phone coverage of the downtown Houston area, as well as Reliant.
Just for the Super Bowl.
Just for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so we had a lot of folks visiting us.
We actually have one of the most mature cell phone networks in the nation because of the Super Bowl.
Wow.
And the amount of data that was used from Verizon customers and customers piggybacking off of their cell towers. So there again, we got oil and gas. Now we've got communications. Businesses using it to find customers and locations. It's everywhere.
Now, let's go back to that Super Bowl incident, because I imagine people were hired on. Are these workers that are hired on a temporary basis for Verizon to go do this type of GIS programming, or are these people they will fold into their normal employment?
Some of the people folded into their normal employment because, I don't know if you know this, but Verizon got a big contract from the NFL.
Right.
So they've hired these people full time. Yeah. So they took these people and they brought them into the stadiums, and then they did GIS and line of sight for cell phone coverages there. And of course, there's going to be a lot of contract positions in GIS, especially in the oil and gas industry, because some companies like to keep their company lean.
Right.
But the thing about contracting is it allows you to get that experience that when you do actually apply for a full-time job, a permanent position, they're going to want 2 to 3 years experience. How do you do that? Getting those contracts, learning telecommunication, learning oil and gas, doing a contract for the government, working for engineering firms. It's all experience that pays off in the long run.
Yeah, and contracting positions aren't that uncommon. A lot of large companies will regularly hire someone on as a contractor, see how it works out. There's no commitment made to them, but then bring them on as a full-time employee as they move forward.
I worked on a contract for Chevron. I've worked on a contract for Pacific Gas and Electric. The Pacific Gas and Electric was a end date contract.
Right.
But then there's contracts that ExxonMobil takes on that they say 1 year contract to perm. And what that does is they're going to try you out for a year. They're going to see how you do this. They're going to see how you not only know your job, but how do you get along with the people in the environment that you're in. And if it works out, you're in. Like, we've had a couple of students here have done internships, and before the semester's even over with, they're telling me, "Hey, Professor Boucher, I got hired on full time." I'm like, well, sometimes that's what internships do for you. Yeah.
And that's the perfect situation. And let's go. It's a good segue into the program itself. I imagine, can someone get a certification in this? Are there levels of certification?
Yes, sir.
2-year degree, and then can they move on to a 4-year degree? Is that needed?
Let's start with the simplest, right?
Okay.
We have a level 1 and a level 2 certification, level 1 being the technician, level 2 being the analyst, where it just focuses mainly on the technology itself. We also have 1 year now, an Associates of Applied Science. We got that in the books, and it's also got recognized by the Texas Workforce Investment Council and the state of Texas, the governor's office. So we are recognized. We're one of only 2 programs in the state that is.
Wow. Yeah.
We're working on an articulation agreement with Texas A&M to where you can do your AAS with us roll over to Texas A&M and finish off your 2-year degree.
Which is a 4-year seamless
Which
degree.
is a 4-year
Yeah, sure.
seamless degree. I guess my high hopes are for University of Houston Clear Lake. They have a geography department that allows our students to roll.
Now, if someone, you mentioned earlier about someone getting hired into a full-time position from started contracting. If someone gets a level 1 certificate or a level 2 certificate, can you help them get hired onto a job while they continue their work, their college work?
Most definitely. More importantly, what I tell my students in the level 1 certification that have no other degree tracks, because I do have a lot to have degree tracks in other things, I said, if you want more than the level 1, let's worry about the level 1. We get them employed in small engineering or small survey companies that allow them to do their GIS work and still come to the campus and do their level 2. And if they feel that they want to go further than that, then they go further than that to the AAS. And it's more, the AAS, the way it was built, was actually to have the level 1 and level 2 as actual milestones inside a degree. So even though you're not in the AAS program, you can still grab those milestones and keep going.
Now, we are, for those of you listening to our audio podcast, we're speaking with Michael Boucher, Dr. Michael Boucher.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Not yet.
Headed in that
Dissertation
direction.
just started.
All right. Michael Boucher from the Geographic Information Science Program, or GIS program at HCC. Thanks again for being here. I guess a big question a lot of folks would ask is, what type of living am I going to make while I'm out there? What would you tell students? Starting pay, medium pay, and then what's the high end?
Well, you know, and that's location bound. It's also industry bound. If you are to start off with a survey company, you can probably expect anywhere from $12 to $15 an hour with a level 1 certification, which is a very slow livable wage, but it's livable, but it helps you move into something a little better. The top end with, I'm speaking from experience here, from a master's degree, 10 years experience, I was making 6 figures before I came to HCC.
Wow. So you could you could easily get into that with the more
sky-
experience and time.
The more experience, and especially in the oil and gas industry, it's just like any other industry. You know a little bit, but you learn so much more about the terminology, the techniques, and such on the job. So as you progress, it's up to the individual how far they want to go.
What type of skills would you say a person, or if someone wants to get into this real quickly, what would you say they need to be? They need to be good at math? They need to like science? What do they need?
They need to have computer skills. Math and science we can work on. I'm a firm believer in that. But I think the biggest issue that I see from the instructor standpoint over the last 3 years is some students just don't have computer skills.
Right.
Simple running Microsoft Office. And it's not, and it hurts too because GIS doesn't run on Apple OS. So we're kind of limited to PC-based industry. So
It is a PC-based industry.
It's a PC-based industry. So it's like if somebody has an Apple and they're used to iOS and Swift, they're going to have a hard time.
Right. Michael Boucher, thanks for being here on the topic with us and telling us about the GIS program at HCC. And if folks want to learn more about this, you can log on to hccs.edu/GIS. We'll be back with more. We'll learn about career placement services with Dr. Carolyn Davis coming up next.
I've seen people's lives change just by attending a class at HCC.
Some of them might not have the financial means to go to a four-year university. That doesn't make them any less quote-unquote smart than the kids who go to a four-year school.
HCC is easy to get to. It's easy to apply and easy to become a part of.
It gave me so much confidence.
Once you finish your 2 years there, you can transition into a four-year university or go into the workforce.
It's affordable, it's accessible, it changes lives.
Welcome back to The Topic. I'm Todd Duplantis. If you're watching us on HCC TV, YouTube, or social media, you can download our podcast on Apple Podcasts or at hccs.edu/podcast. So what do you want to do when you grow up? Well, a lot of students are asking that when they go off to college. Dr. Carolyn Davis is here. Join us from the Southwest Career and Job Placement Services. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Todd, for having me.
I imagine, do you get a lot of students coming in with misdirection on what they want to do, or just not having any idea what they want to do when they get out of college?
It's a mixture of both. We have people who come in who are misdirected. There's some who are very sure about what they want to do, but then when we start asking those secondary questions, they start wondering if they've made the right decision. And then, of course, we have those that have no clue as to what they want to do. So this is why we have what we call Career Coach as an assessment tool, but that's not the only one we use, but that's the one we kind of use for the entire district.
And I guess it wouldn't be uncommon for a lot of kids or folks to go off to college and really not know what you want to do. You're still experiencing life. You're in many cases very young in this case, just getting out of high school. Where do you guide them? Is that where the Career Coach steps in?
Well, the sad thing is that a lot of students take an assessment before they get to HCC, but for some reason they don't understand what that assessment is or how to navigate through it to understand the impact or the implications for them. So what we do is we offer Career Coach, which is the standard and the system that HCC purchased for all of our incoming students. And so once we administer Career Coach, students are able to understand more about who they are. And then on top of that, what are their interests and how those interests and their personality type align. And from that perspective, they are able to drill down even further to see what courses and what programs HCC offer that actually also fit their interests. So,
tell me about the Career Coach and how that works. Is this a class they go to, or is it one-on-one sessions, and is there any cost for this?
Well, Career Coach is a career assessment tool that is put out by MC that HCC purchased some time ago. It is used in our EDUC 1300 classes.
Part of a class.
It's
Okay.
not necessarily a part of a class, but it is a part of a class.
Right.
It is administered through the EDUC 1300 class for all incoming freshmen who have 12 hours or less. And it's also administered through Career Services. Career Services are getting those students who perhaps did not meet that criteria to go into EDUC 1300. The other thing is sometimes we get students that have gone through EDUC 1300 and still have not understood what that tool meant for them. And so they'll come back and we'll go through it a little bit further, drilling down more till they get to the point where they are able to make a comfortable career decision.
At the end of dealing with the Career Coach, will they get an assessment that they can go back, take home, look at, and then do they meet with an advisor to move forward from there?
Well, that's two ways. We do encourage them to create a login, so therefore they always have access, no matter where they are. We also encourage them to print out their summary, and that is the summary that they can take to their advisors. But the biggest challenge is we want to make sure that student has made some type of decision as in terms of the pathway that they will need to take or would like to take in order to enroll in HCC. So with that said, what students do is they go back to the advisors and they'll say, these are my assessment results, and from these results I've decided to, because it ultimately and foremost, it is their decision.
Sure.
We don't try to influence that.
when I went to college, it seemed like I had roommates and peers that were changing their major every semester. Is that still the case now? And how do we help students to avoid having to take classes that they won't get credit for or don't work towards their career plan?
Well, that is a red flag. When a student changes their major, we work hand in hand with advisors. So that is a flag. If a student comes in and they want to change their major, the advisors are to refer them to career services. And we are to either look at their career assessment if they have one already, or administer that career assessment for them. If they then cannot decide on what they want to do, we then go to secondary levels of assessments, a little bit more robust assessments to help them. But the main thing is we don't want students to continue changing majors and coming back.
'Cause you're wasting your time
You're
and
wasting,
money.
right. And financial aid now is tied to
Right.
a student's ability to get a degree of some sort or a certificate. And so they can no longer just continue that loop of coming back and enrolling and re-enrolling and changing majors. So we want to stop it as soon as possible.
Being at a community college, do you find our students are more career focused than, say, maybe students who just go off to a university who may not know what they're going to do? It seems like when you're at HCC, we have a pointed direction that we want to get you through. Do you find that with our students?
Well, I find it in both ways. Most of the time they're coming looking for someone to help them to determine what that is. Now, they are focused in terms of wanting to embark on something that's going to yield gainful employment. They are employment driven. So what we want to do is make sure that we know that if they are embarking on a career, we help them to identify whether or not that career at the end of their academic process, is that going to yield gainful employment? If so, is it in Houston? Or is it somewhere else? So we try to make sure that our students make an informed decision, and that when they come in, regardless of what their reasoning for coming in, that we guide them in the right way.
Once they have career planning and you're on the right track, you have a career in mind, do you help the students in finding temporary work or work to get them through college? And then when they graduate, do you help them with the next step?
Exactly. Everything that we do with the student in terms of work is tied to their career choice. So we want to know, what is your career choice? Even if they're coming as work study, we want to make sure that they get into a program or connect with one of HCC departments that will help them to move forward in their career path. And then we also help with internships, co-ops, help them to find those. And we also host events, on-campus hiring events, single employer, as well as multiple in terms of career fairs. So we have multiple ways that they can find employment. So most of the time, while they're here, they may be looking for part-time, but when they're about to graduate, they're either looking for internships or full-time.
When you have those career fairs, can students actually come in and get hired at the fairs, or are they just getting onto another interview?
Well, it's both.
Okay.
Some employers are hiring on the spot. Some are interviewing on the spot. Some are directing them to online links.
Like a screening process to get them to the next step.
Exactly. But what we want students to do is make sure that they put their best foot forward, and that their image and their approach is appropriate, because what recruiters do is write notes on the resumes to say this is a great potential hire.
You want to make that first impression.
You want to make that
really
first
do.
impression. Even if they are directing you to a website, you know that recruiter is someone that can affect whether or not you get to the next level.
Dr. Carolyn Davis, HCC Southwest College Director of Career Services, thanks for being here on the
Thank you.
topic. If you'd like to know more about career services, it's very easy. You can log on to hccs.edu/career planning. Thanks for joining me on the topic. I'm Todd Duplantis. I'll see you next time.